Boom. Texas Longhorns add a commitment, this time from New Orleans area. Defensive back, cornerback Hayward Howard Jr., 6'2", 175 pounds, out of state champion Edna Carr High School in New Orleans. Jerry, just watching his film earlier today, I was noticing how long he is. I mean, this guy is very long, tall, drink of water, man. What do you think of this pickup? We'll talk about him and also hear from Rod Babers a little bit later. What do you think of this pickup for the Longhorns?
Well, he's a guy that was a big senior riser. He grew a lot later, too, in high school. Father was a big guy, 6'4", 285-pound recruit to Ole Miss out of high school and junior college in Arizona. So big frame family. So when you hear he's 6'2" and a quarter, 175 with long limbs, it's not really surprising. But a guy that picked up a lot of offers, Edna Carr, as you said, was 14-0 in one state last year, beat a lot of really good teams really badly along the way. He picked up a lot of steam then during December, January. Terry Joseph originally offered him before leaving for the Saints job. Then Mark Orfe took over that recruitment. He unofficially visited in April. But Florida State, Miami, Auburn, I mean, you name it. LSU offered about 8 days ago as well. You name it. And he picked up a lot of the major offers in the Southeast region. And again, Bobby, he kind of fits the profile, right? I mean, taller, longer limb guys. Texas is looking for wide receiver and corner in the last couple of cycles. He really fits that. But a guy that I think's best football is way out in front of him.
Yeah, it's clear he is a guy that has a lot to grow into, but he has that frame and that length, and he runs pretty well for his size too, Jerry. Very surprisingly well for being that big a corner. And to your point, Texas going for bigger guys right now. This makes gives Texas 6 commitments on the campaign. He is the first defensive back in the category. He's also the first cornerback commitment for new cornerbacks coach Mark Orfe.
Yeah, and Orfe was at the school on Friday, May 9th. He had been out to see Samari Matthews the day before on May 8th. So making his rounds to see the top cornerback prospects. And again, a guy that Hayward and his father were extremely impressed with. Mark Orfe, obviously all the Texas secondary coaches, Steve Sarkisian, the Texas program during that April unofficial visit. And it became pretty obvious after that visit that Texas had a legitimate shot in this recruitment. What we didn't expect, Bobby, was to close it out on early in May with the official visits that were scheduled, which I'm sure we're going to talk about because these recruitments continue. Teams aren't just going to back off here, not guys in this town.
I mean, before he committed, he had official visits set to obviously Texas, but also to Miami and to Auburn as well. We'll see what happens with those visits, but this is a big pickup for the Longhorns because it's getting Texas back into that New Orleans area. Derek Williams a couple years ago, along with Arch Manning as well. Barron Sorrell from New Orleans. Texas wants to have a presence down there, and I think that's a big piece of it too, Jerry. Texas, as they expand across the Southeast and have been, whether it's in Florida or in Georgia as well, I think got to go into Louisiana and get some good players too, man.
No doubt. You can't look while Texas is having so much success in Georgia and Florida and in SoCal to a certain extent, you can't forget about how fruitful Louisiana has been as you rattled off the names right there. I also want to say this. I think he was talking about visiting LSU June 20th through 22nd as well. Okay. So Frank Wilson was at the school last week. Corey Raymond has been in touch every day. So this is a recruitment that will continue to be a battle, I think. The recruitment will go on, but I will say this is how impressed how Hayward Howard Jr. and his father were on the unofficial visit. For them to make that decision to commit to Texas now in early May was something that came as a little bit of surprise. I mean, I actually wrote an article on ontexasfootball.com Thursday, May 8th about our yes, maybe, and work to do. And I put him in the yes category because I knew Texas was trending for him, but I didn't expect that a day or two after you write the article for thing to boom, he commits. So I just let people know I didn't know this was actually coming when it did. This one surprised me a little bit on the timing.
Yeah, well, I think that's to your point. he came in for that April unofficial visit with his family. And look, Texas has been hitting these unofficial visits out of the park in large part. This is leading up to these June official visits. Texas has 3 big weekends coming up: the 6th, the 13th, and the 20th. Howard is expected to in on the 6th weekend. Is this indicative of a Texas team that has a lot of momentum in recruiting behind the scenes, in your opinion?
Yeah, just a cool school factor, right? They made 2 straight college football playoffs. Guys are winning big awards. You just had a first-round pick at corner who was, took home the national awards. So Texas everything is going their direction, from play on the field, winning football games, to players winning awards, having individual success, player development, which leads to NFL draft. I mean, everything is there. And then when you're at the University of Texas with the resources there, the city of Austin, you can put on a show even for the unofficial visits. There's a lot of energy and excitement around the university right now. Any weekend you're there, there's Texas baseball, who is ranked number 1 or 2 or top 5 when kids were coming through. There's concerts at Moody across from Newhouse. There's multiple sports ranked really high. Texas is now in the SEC, I think is big in a recruitment like this, a kid that has offers from LSU, Auburn, Florida, and then kind of Florida State and Miami may as well be SEC schools when we're talking about recruiting. So there's just such a good vibe around the University of Texas and Austin right now. It's not only impressing prospects, but it's really impressing parents. But I will say this: no way this recruitment leads to a commitment this fast unless the father was really, really impressed with Mark Orfe, one, and all the time spent with the defensive coaching staff. So PK all the way down to Dwayne Akeen in the secondary, Kenodo Hudson at nickel. Obviously, Mark Orfe, the leader of that recruitment as the corners coach.
Let me ask you this. We talked about the importance of Louisiana potentially. Any other players in Louisiana? I know there's one in North Louisiana, Dylan Berryman, the defensive tackle out of the Monroe area. Anybody else we need to be looking at right now in the class of 2026 in the state of Louisiana for Texas?
Yeah, I think so. Look, we got to remember Lylon Clark is from Baton Rouge. So he's taking swings at a Lamar Brown, very highly ranked offensive/defensive lineman who wants to play defensive line. Texas has taken some swings there. One of Hayward Howard's teammates, defensive lineman Richard Anderson, was an LSU commitment. I'm not sure Texas is making much ground up or getting any traction there. But I will say this: Texas is all over that state. There's Malachi Ziegler, the 27 quarterback, Peyton Houston, the 27 quarterback. So anywhere you go in Louisiana, whether it's South Louisiana or North Louisiana, you mentioned Dylan Berryman at Monroe, Ouachita, you hear Texas. These kids are taking multiple visits to Texas. So when that starts happening, that's a really good sign for Texas. And let's just say this: the Arch Manning era is just getting started. There's going to be a lot of coverage of the University of Texas in the state of Louisiana in the next 2 years.
Well, I got to say this. I mean, not only did Barron Sorrell come over to Texas and was not this highly recruited guy, but ends up going in the NFL. Yeah. Malcolm Roach was somewhat similar out of Baton Rouge, not highly recruited, ends up being a longtime NFL player. Texas has had some success, guys getting over there and then really getting into the system and becoming NFL-type players from the state of Louisiana. Hopefully, Hayward Howard becomes another one of those guys. Before we let go to Rod Babers, our Rod Babers, former NFL DB, is going to break down a little Hayward Howard film for you guys here. I want to say one last thing. Hayward Howard Jr., hook him, buddy.
Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here to give you my personal evaluation of the latest commitment for the Longhorns in the 2026 class, Hayward Howard Jr. He's a cornerback out of New Orleans, Louisiana. And I got to tell you, it was fun actually watching this young man's film and breaking it down. First of all, bigger corner. Are you talking about 6'2 plus 175 pounds? So he's a bigger corner. And when I'm looking at bigger corners, I'm always looking at, can they get in and out of breaks, right? How do they move? How are the feet with these bigger corners? And he's got excellent feet. He's got really good hips, really smooth hips, fluid hips, loose hips. Really for big corners, sometimes they struggle to be able to get in and out of breaks, to turn and go on some of those go routes. This young man does not struggle with that at all. Excellent reaction time for a bigger corner too. That's what I liked about him. Big and long enough to smother receivers in press. You'll see him in press coverage. And what I like about him in press coverage, he gets his hands on guys. You can tell it is an emphasis for him. He wants to get his hands on receivers and reroute receivers in man coverage, especially press man coverage. And I've been talking about this for, I don't know, last year or so. Texas wants to play more man coverage. I think they want to play more press man coverage. That's something that's in the future. Last year, they were 117th in the country in press coverage rate. They were 113th in man coverage rate, around 16, a little over 16% man coverage rate for Texas. Since Sark has been here, they've never been over a 20% man coverage rate. With athletes like Hayward Howard Jr., they can play more press man coverage, which I think that's what they want to do overall. What I would also love about him is he's physical at the catch point. You'll see them when he's breaking up passes, really physical at the catch point. He also is patient in off coverage. A lot of guys tend, especially young players, tend to turn way too early in off coverage when they're young and before they learn how to read their keys. That's one thing I like about him in off coverage or in zone coverage, particularly. Even if he's off, he's very patient, not quick to get out of there. So he doesn't take himself out of defending a lot of routes on the route tree. He's very aggressive in short, intermediate, underneath routes. Also, I like his eyes. He's got really disciplined eyes in zone coverage. You see him right there in press coverage, just mauling a receiver. I think that's his strength. I think his strength, what he does kind of naturally is just put him out there, 6'2" frame, and let him play press man coverage. He reroutes receivers real well, gets his hands on guys. What I think is a little surprising is how disciplined his eyes are in off coverage and in zone coverage. And to me, that's what I'm looking at when I'm scouting, just kind of scouting one-on-one. Well, eyes, hands, hips, and feet. And he's got excellent eyes in zone coverage. In man coverage, he's got really good feet and really good hands placement to reroute wide receivers. And what I love ultimately about him is he's got loose hips. When you're talking about zone coverage, you're talking about man coverage. You saw it right there, right? The hips to get in and out of breaks, to be able to redirect and change direction for a 6'2" guy. Man, he does it really, really effortlessly. And that is something you just don't find with a guy that has a big frame like that. Also, he'll deliver a strike in the run game. You'll see it toward the end of his highlight reel here. He delivers a strike in the run game and uses that big body to come downhill and deliver a blow. He has the ability on some deep routes. He uses that big frame on deep routes to pin wide receivers. You'll see him oftentimes the ability to pin wide receivers with his frame and play the football on those deep vertical routes. You see pinning guys to the sideline. We used to call it kind of the look and lean. You want to lean on that receiver, pin him to the sidelines, and look back for the football, the look and lean. He does it naturally really well. Pins receivers, uses that sideline, and then uses his big frame. You see it right there, just to go up and play the football. So there's so much to like about this young man's game. And, I think ideally for Texas, where they want to go in the future, which I think is a team that wants to play more man and wants to play more press, he's the ideal prospect for a Texas defense that is looking to become more aggressive, become more physical on the back end, and longer, rangier athletes on the back end. We've seen that. That is also a theme. A guy at 6'2", 175, he is a very intimidating, imposing defender back in that secondary. So I think Texas got a hell of a prospect and a diamond in the rough here with Hayward Howard Jr. That's my personal evaluation of the latest commitment for the Longhorns in the 2026 class.